The beauty of going into completion in this moment is that we don't actually have very far to go. So the way that we will start off is to look at an old model and a new model. An old model of what wants to be completion, but often is not, is trying to complete ourselves through modes that are visible to us in our culture. I call this the overculture. Those modes of coming to completion in this old model have to do with attaining, becoming, accumulating, fixing, solving, but they have to do with somewhere that is not right here. They have to do with a step or two or 10 or 5 away from where we are now into a place that doesn't exist, which is the future. And we lose the precious experience of our aliveness now in the perpetual hunt to arrive somewhere that we are not. I call this the arrival myth. And because of the constantly trying to complete ourself through externalized means, and the assumption that more is better and that we are innately inadequate, we have actually in some ways lost the ability to arrive anywhere, because the gift of settling into where we are now in full acceptance, vibrational harmony, and allowance is not something we have much of a map for, guidance for, congratulations or accolades for in our world. What are you doing right now? Chances are the answer that's the right one for our overculture world, what Tetris is in to the belief system of our world, is I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Other aspects of how we are as a being are left out of that picture completely. I am waiting, I am listening, I am honoring, I am accepting, I am being. So we want to flesh that out and deepen our capacity to access a state of being that is so rich, so alive, so charged with pleasure and possibility, that what is birthed from that is birthed from inspiration, not obligation. This whole mode shift is a rewiring and a reconditioning. But like I said at the very beginning, we don't have to go very far. We can change the little dials on our station from observing what's wrong and what do I need to do to observing what is the state of presence in my deep layers right now. So old model being accumulation and constantly trying to complete the self through externalized life circumstance ways, to honoring the natural state of being, the pleasure of vibration in and throughout our entire being and unifying us with the connected humanity of which we are a part in our wholeness that is now. Any part we might leave out in the cold because it's unacceptable to the status quo, we invite in to be at the seat of our being and even to guide us. So we all experience feeling unwhole. It's unsettling at best and can be kind of torturous at worst. For most of us, this pervasive and underlying motivation for all of our thoughts and resulting actions in our life are this: trying to become whole. It's typical in our world and our inherited psyche, and it's even expected of us that we will seek our wholeness outside of ourself through our accomplishments, other people, status, things, accolades. So I want to present this different context in which to see this condition. As beings, we have inside of us access to the energy of that which changes. This is our finite self. So this is all that lives and dies. This is being born into a body that will change and grow and shed and rebirth. This is all that changes. This is the finite self, all that lives and dies. The basis of this perspective rests in our individuality. And though often left out, as I've mentioned, we have access to the energy of that which does not change. I call these the great stillnesses, the great silence, the glue, as Jim referred to, that holds our universal heartbeat together. The space between molecules, our essential energy of oneness. That in peak moments of awakening or on our spiritual path or just in daily life, we see a vista of some kind. The ancient grooves on a canyon wall that were left there by the receding of the ocean, leaving imprints of this ancientness in this vast invisible space, in and visible space. The basis of this experience is unity. So we have these two things: the energy of that which changes, the finite self, the discerning mind, and that which does not change, the echo of life and our connection. In the greater culture of our Western world, so I often refer to this as the inherited psyche and the resulting structures of that. We lean into the finite world experiences almost exclusively. And this happens to our great detriment. We're missing wholeness. I can't think of a greater detriment. Lacking wholeness, feeling insecure and unsafe. We've become left brain dominant. We've become, so I think of that as ego dominant. And the result we see in ourselves and in the world is a constant and competitive hunt for more to fill the void left by the lack of our oneness experience. In the world, so in the macro picture, that looks like war over resources, lack of humanity in our exchanges and our policies. But within the self, that looks like being unsatisfied, and not just being unsatisfied, but being unsatisfiable. And this profound question popping into my brain right now, I think it was Adrienne Marie Brown maybe said, are you, to question to ask ourselves, are you satisfiable? Can we imagine being at peace, even in the midst of great change, even in a world on fire? Can we imagine bringing forth peace within ourselves? Can we access the experience of the energy in our core, our essence, the energy of that which does not change? Can we return to that or crawl to that on our knees and say, release me into the great turning? This surrender is our breathing, is our spiritual practice. When it comes to the breath, I think of this as the exhale. The arrival myth leads us in this hamster wheel, this direction of we will be happy or whole or okay when this happens, when that happens, when these or that ducks are in a row. Then I will be able to be whole. Then I will be safe enough. I will be adequate enough. I will have achieved, right? We know this hamster wheel of thoughts, right? But then I will be whole. But the tragedy of that and the resulting tragedies in our world is that that time never comes. There is always more to do, to achieve, and to prove. before that ego mind says, oh, yeah. The nature of us, our divine patterning that flows from our DNA, our deep, deep biology, but also our epigenetics and the lineage of who we are, the wisdom that we carry forth, that is stored in the body's templates. This kind of wholeness has never left and is never elsewhere, ever. In fact, it is so close to us that we miss it completely, because we cannot see who we are, but we can feel it. When we lose our ability to arrive at a destination, we are fueled by our lack. The drive for more that doesn't end. And because it doesn't end, and there's always more to do, we lose faith that we can be complete. We lose faith that when we surrender completely, the divine nature of our being rises and blooms into an undeniable experience of our wholeness. This is the greatest letting go that we can have. We hear sometimes the greatest spiritual gift is to learn to die before we die, to let go of, to reconcile with our innate nature before we die, so we can live with curiosity rather than control, so that we can experience power as this radiant, beautiful thing rather than just power over somebody or something else in the competitive rigmarole of life's played out limitations. This experience of this wholeness lies in our present moment awareness. I call it the charged emptiness within, the resonant energy of life that is shared with every being. We cannot arrive there mentally. In fact, we miss it completely because we cannot see logically who we are in essence. As I said, we have to feel it, welcome it, usher it in. So I associate, again, we're back to these categories of the things that change, the energy of that which changes and the energy of that which does not change. And I associate this finite state, which is kind of what it takes to be navigational on the planet, right? With thinking, navigating, producing. And I associate this infinite state with feeling and witnessing the state of receptivity that we find often in mindfulness, meditation, movement work, yoga, and our breathing. We need both in this human experience, the infinite and the finite. And it's helpful when our logical thinking mind is of service to our soul's path or to the sensation of wellness and wholeness that we connect to in our stillness, in our presence, in our deep and rich state of being. What does our presence and our deep and rich state of being really mean? That even though we've been taught to flee our deeper layers, if they're uncomfortable or if it might lead us to great change, the ego dominant world and that building structure of that in our mind says, let's move away from that. We have to protect the status quo. We have to protect what's going on. Too much change is dangerous. And what does that? It means the ego is afraid of being found out. So our state of presence means that we don't leave. When the impulse to self-abandon arises, we stay. When the impulse to distract, to numb, to react, to participate in the drama or the playing out of our limitations, that's all departing from the deep true state. So we are learning to not self-abandon. Our wholeness doesn't leave, but we do sometimes in order to survive. None of that has been wrong. It is so completely understandable why we self-abandon, because we haven't had the tools or the resources to greet a situation that's come up. Becoming familiar with states of discomfort that bring us closer to our truth. When our energies of that which changes and that which does not change are in balance. The yin and the yang of that. The yin part is to accept and experience our divinity now in the way that I've just mentioned. The yang is to evolve from a place of completion. Rather than trying to complete the self, we are evolving from a place of completion. And in that way, we can set and achieve our life's goals. So these two aspects that I'm differentiating are actually really great partners. They're not in opposition. Our state of being, wholeness, brings divinity to all of our actions. And our actions bring a texture and a flavor to the unending divine. I think of this as tickling the divine. The divine is tickled by our life playing out. Oh, look at what they're doing there. Divine is unending. Divine is unending. So it gets to feel the texture of our own evolution and is delighted by that. So the macro version of this doing and being in balance. So not feeling whole, cramming stuff into the void to feel whole, that's unending. I have a story for us that can show the bigger picture of this happening. This is called the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. For thousands of years, South American shamans and elders across the continent have told that the beginning of the fifth Pachacuti, which is a cycle of 500 years, the era we live in today, a reunion would come to pass between the long separated people of the eagle and the people of the condor. The prophecy story relates that in the beginning, the earth's people were one, but long ago they divided into two groups and each followed a different path of development. The people of the eagle were highly scientific and intellectual. The people of the condor were highly attuned to nature and the intuitive realm. You see where the energy of that which changes and the energy of that which does not change are represented in these two groups. The story goes on to say that at this current juncture in Earth's history, the eagle people, the people of the intellect and the mind, people with a highly developed sense of aesthetic and cognitive skills, will have reached a zenith in their amassing of scientific knowledge, technology, and technological tools, expression of high art, and the ability to build and to construct. The eagle people will even develop tools and technologies that will expand the mind. They will be producing technical miracles of unimagined power and breadth. The enormous accomplishments and technologies of the people of the eagle will be tremendous material wealth to leaders of the eagle world. At the same time, they will be spiritually impoverished to their peril, and their very existence will be at risk. In this same era, the people of the condor, people of the heart, the spirit, the senses, and the deep connection within the natural world will be highly developed in their intuitive skills. They, referring to indigenous people, will refer to a powerful zenith in their profound ancient wisdom, their understanding and relatedness with the natural world and the great cycles of the earth, their connection with the great spirits, the animals, and the plant kingdom, their capacities to move through many spiritual dimensions that they inhabit. At the same time, they will be hungry and impoverished for knowledge that will enable them to be successful in this material world. They will be disadvantaged in their interactions with the material world of the eagle in a way that their very existence will be at risk. It is clear that our Western culture represents the people of the eagle, and indigenous people of the world are the people of the condor. But I would say even beyond that is that our deep inner wisdom is Condorian-like, and our mental cognitive aspect of self that is represented by the eagle. The prophecy says that at this time in Earth's history, the eagle people and the condor people will rejoin, remembering that they are one people, that they will reconnect, remember their common origin, share their knowledge and wisdom, and save each other. The eagle and the condor will fly together in the same sky, wing to wing, and the world will come into balance after a point of near extinction. Neither the eagles nor the condors will survive without this collaboration. The mind and the heart, right? The body and the brain. From this rejoining of the two people, a new alloy consciousness will emerge that honors the eagle people for their remarkable accomplishments of the mind and honors the condor people for the deep wisdom of the heart. Together and only together, the crisis will be resolved and a sustainable future will emerge for all people and for the earth. So in this story, we see this macro picture of our world, the battle between these two polar energies and the coming together of them in a micro way. So we'll say the story of how this plays out intimately for us, being ruled by the ego, our thoughts, perpetuation of our limitations we've inherited, and our awareness being almost solely focused on those thoughts and beliefs. But our awareness in this cultural time is learning to go deeper, to include the wealth of the heart, the unconditionally loving energy of the heart, our instincts and intuitions, that is the intuition at the brow, our instincts in the gut of the body, the sensation of life within us that shows us how to naturally share, collaborate, be in an ecosystem of one. So our disembodiment is the micro version of this split, and often will always have something to do with our sense of not feeling whole. So we bring our awareness deep down into our body, trusting, maybe for the first time ever in this context, that the nature of who we are can be fully trusted to thrive. That we can learn from our own body's wisdom, the needs, desires, curiosities that arise from within us. And when we bring our awareness, our humble awareness, our listening mind down into the body, we can learn how to accept, to forgive, to celebrate ourselves as being whole. It's completely life-changing to live from a place of wholeness as we learn and grow and do those things that change, to come back to the well of wholeness, to evolve from that place that we might have forgotten long ago.